Have you ever stopped to consider how fragile our definition of value actually is? Imagine holding a piece of paper less than a millimeter thick. You can't eat it, you can't wear it, and it won't pay your rent. But at an auction, it sells for $5.27 million, enough to buy a fleet of Ferraris or a luxury mansion. This is the reality of the Pokémon trading card game in 2026. To an outsider, it looks like a paper bubble fueled by madness. But to our brains, it is a meticulously crafted psychological masterpiece. How does a piece of paper buy a mansion? Why do rational adults get sweaty palms and racing hearts just from ripping open a $5 plastic pack? Today, we're moving past the market data and the investment charts. We are going to dive into the deepest trenches of human consciousness to see exactly how these shiny slips of paper hijack our biological hardwiring and turn us all into participants in a billion-dollar collective delusion. When we look at a card with that iconic 90s art style, our brains aren't just processing colors and shapes. They are triggering a massive chemical reaction. In psychology, we call this nostalgia, but it's much more than just a sentimental feeling. Nostalgia actually serves as a powerful emotional regulator. Research shows that when we engage with nostalgic objects, our brains release oxytocin and activate the reward system, providing a profound sense of security and home. For the millennials who are now the primary drivers of this market, Pokémon falls directly into what psychologists call the Reminiscence Bump. This bump refers to a quirk in human memory where we remember events from our adolescence and early adulthood, roughly ages 10 to 30, more vividly and with more emotional intensity than any other period of our lives. It's why you think the music from your teenage years is the best ever made, and why modern cartoons just don't feel the same. For a collector, holding a 1999 Charizard isn't about owning paper. It's about purchasing the right to return to a state of innocence. It's a concept known as emotional compensation. When the real world becomes stressful, expensive, or uncertain, our brains are willing to pay a massive premium for a time capsule that promises a return to a time when our only worry was who to trade with at recess. We aren't paying for the card. We're paying for the feeling of being 10 years old again, and in the economy of the human heart. That feeling is priceless. If you've ever watched a box break on YouTube, the atmosphere is more tense than a World Cup final. The heavy breathing, the trembling fingers, the screaming reaction when a hit is revealed, this isn't just for the cameras. This is the sound of a brain being hijacked by dopamine. To understand this, we have to look at a classic behavioral experiment called the Skinner box. The psychologist B.F. Skinner placed pigeons in a box with a lever. If the pigeon got food every single time it pressed the lever, it eventually got bored. But if the food dropped randomly, sometimes on the first try, sometimes on the 10th, the pigeon became obsessed. It would peck the lever incessantly, even forgetting to sleep or eat. This is variable ratio reinforcement. Our brains are biologically obsessed with uncertain rewards. When you tear the foil seal on a booster pack, your ventral tegmental area, VTA, the brain's reward center, starts firing at maximum capacity. For that 1 second, you are in a state of quantum superposition. You might be holding a 10-cent piece of bulk, or you might be holding a $10,000 alternate art masterpiece. Fascinatingly, psychologists have found that dopamine levels are actually higher during the anticipation of the reward than during the reward itself. Pokémon cards don't sell cards. They sell the hit of the unknown. We are essentially pulling the handle of a colorful, pocket-sized slot machine, and the rush of maybe this time is a drug that the human brain finds almost impossible to quit. So, we return to the big question. Is a Pokémon card really worth millions of dollars? From a purely material standpoint, the answer is no. It will always just be paper and ink. But we don't live in a purely material world. We live in a world of symbols, stories, and deep-seated psychological needs. That piece of paper is expensive because it carries the warmth of our childhood, our brain's hunger for dopamine, our ancestral drive for rarity, and our universal need to belong. Pokémon cards are a mirror. They reflect the most primitive, beautiful, and complex parts of being human. Maybe everyone has their own version of a Pikachu illustrator. For some, it's a vintage car. For others, it's a designer watch or a corner office. If everyone on Earth owned a Pikachu illustrator card, its value would effectively be zero. The astronomical prices we see are powered by an ancient survival program buried deep in our DNA, the scarcity heuristic. In the world of our ancestors, resources were limited. If a certain berry was rare, it was likely more nutritious. If a water source was scarce, it was a key to survival. Over hundreds of thousands of years, our brains developed a cognitive shortcut. If it's hard to get, it must be valuable. The Pokémon Company has mastered this ancient instinct. By strictly controlling print runs and creating artificial tiers of rarity, like secret rares or special illustration rares, they trigger a primal alarm in our heads called FOMO, or the fear of missing out. When the brain perceives that an item is vanishing or exclusive, the rational prefrontal cortex, the part of you that knows this is just paper, gets bypassed by the amygdala. We stop thinking about the item's utility and start focusing on the threat of losing access to it. We aren't just competing for a card. We are competing for a perceived survival advantage. In the eyes of a psychologist, collecting is just a modern, mutated version of our ancestral hunter-gatherer instincts. We aren't gathering berries for the winter anymore. We're gathering shiny cardboard to fill a subconscious void of perceived scarcity. Why does a 10 on a plastic case make a card worth 5 times more than a 9, even when the human eye can't see a single difference? This is where the halo effect takes over. When a trusted authority like PSA or BGS slaps a gem mint label on a card, that card is suddenly surrounded by an invisible halo of perfection. We subconsciously project this sense of perfection onto every other attribute of the card: its historical importance, its artistic beauty, and its future investment potential. We stop seeing the object and start worshiping the label. But there's a second, even sneakier bias at play once that card enters your collection: the endowment effect. The Nobel laureate Richard Thaler famously proved that humans value things significantly more the moment they own them. In one experiment, students who were given a coffee mug refused to sell it for anything less than double what others were willing to pay to buy it. Ownership changes our perception of reality. Once you hold that card in your hand, it is no longer a commodity. It becomes an extension of yourself. You imbue it with your own stories, your own effort, and your own identity. This is why collectors often have such irrational asking prices. To the market, it's a card. To the owner, it's a piece of their soul. And you can't put a market price on a soul. Finally, we have to talk about the tribe. Humans are social animals, and we define ourselves by the groups we belong to. According to social identity theory, we use symbols to signal our status and belonging within a group. In the world of collectors, a rare card is a social currency. Posting a high-grade pull on Instagram or showing off a max rarity deck at a tournament isn't just about the game. It's a signal of your rank within the hierarchy. The dots of likes and comments are external validations that tell your brain you are a high-value member of the tribe. But why will some people spend their last dollar to get that one final card for a set? This is the Zeigarnik effect. The psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik discovered that our brains remember incomplete tasks much more vividly than completed ones, and they create a state of low-level mental tension until the task is finished. That empty slot in your binder isn't just a gap. It's a psychological itch that your brain refuses to stop scratching. The feeling of completion provides a massive release of neural tension, a sense of wholeness that collectors will pay thousands of dollars to achieve. So, we return to the big question: is a Pokémon card really worth millions of dollars? From a purely material standpoint, the answer is no. It will always just be paper and ink. But we don't live in a purely material world. We live in a world of symbols, stories, and deep-seated psychological needs. That piece of paper is expensive because it carries the warmth of our childhood, our brain's hunger for dopamine, our ancestral drive for rarity, and our universal need to belong. Pokémon cards are a mirror. They reflect the most primitive, beautiful, and complex parts of being human. Maybe everyone has their own version of a Pikachu illustrator. For some, it's a vintage car. For others, it's a designer watch or a corner office. We are all chasing something shiny that we have collectively decided has value. As long as we continue to dream, and as long as our brains continue to crave that next hit of wonder, the miracle of the paper will never truly end.